Welcome to the Awaken on Purpose podcast, where each week you'll hear inspirational stories of heart-centered leaders who have awakened to their higher purpose and taken that leap of faith to follow their heart and make an impact in the world. Get ready to be enlightened, empowered, and transformed with your host, Jennifer Spohr.
I am super excited to welcome Lisa Gornall to our show today. Lisa was born with abilities to become one with your energy. She is a spiritual medium, healer, and mindset coach. She intuitively empowers successful entrepreneurs to reclaim your time, relationships, inner game, and energy so that you can live a fulfilling and happy life. Work is your passion, and you know you are here to enjoy a life outside of work, but you don't know how to do that and keep scaling your income. Since 2002, Lisa has combined her intuitive abilities with coaching. We get to the root of your success wound by releasing those fears, family patterns, beliefs, energies, and other life experiences that have kept you stuck on a path that isn't working. You're ready to finally enjoy your success and be happy. Currently, Lisa lives in San Diego, California with her family. Welcome, Lisa. So happy to have you today.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm so happy to be here.
Lisa, what inspired you to do the work that you're doing?
I wouldn't say that I was so much inspired as it's just kind of what I was doing. Like on the playground at school, I remember talking to my great aunt who lived next door, and she would tell me all of her problems, and I could see it objectively, and I could see what she needed to say or do to get back on her right path. So I wouldn't say it was so much that I was inspired to do it. It's just more that I've always been doing it, and I'm very passionate about it, and that all kind of just turned into a career.
That's awesome. And because there are so many people that have natural gifts, right? They may or may not be intuitive, but there are so many people that have these natural gifts and talents, but they don't turn them into a business. What prompted you, or was there some kind of epiphany you had or moment that gave you an idea to turn your gifts into a business?
There was a huge shift for me. So I originally thought I wanted to be a nurse because when I was a child, I saw a Red Cross truck and I thought I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't understand at the time that I was reading past lives. And so I went to college and was on that whole track and everything. And my mom was like, you should do Reiki. And I was like, I don't want to do anything with energy work. I'm done with it. I had done work with a mind shaman and it didn't turn out well and all this other stuff. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing anything with energy work. So long story short, I got my Reiki 1 attunement, and I was living in Columbus, Ohio at the time, and I went to go see family in San Jose, and I went to the beach, and all of my abilities were completely intensified. So before I would see things and sense things and know things, but it wasn't overwhelming. I guess that would be the word to describe it. And I was in nursing school at the time, and I actually ended up failing my final, which when you fail a final in nursing school, you have to start all over again for that class. And I had in my head before I even started that if I failed a class, I was done. And so when I was in San Jose with my family, we were at the beach and everything was unfolding. It no longer worked for me to follow that path. And then I was seeing what is it that I'm supposed to do. And I saw myself helping people, and my aunt and I started a company, and we ended up breaking away from each other because we had different paths, but that all led me to where I am today.
Wow, that's amazing.
It didn't seem amazing at the time, right? But hindsight makes everything seem better.
That's so true. That's so true. I believe every experience that we have serves a purpose, and we often don't see the greater purpose that it's serving at the time. But yeah, I've had a similar experience as well. On that note, what experience in your life do you feel has been most significant in shaping who you are today?
I really feel like that moment at the beach in San Jose was the most significant because I couldn't turn my abilities down. Whereas before I would just kind of ignore it, or I would just kind of let it come at will. It was from that moment on, I was kind of on 24/7. And so I feel like that was really my defining moment.
What you said about things being intensified is so true. Sometimes when we're feeling called to do something or we have a natural gift, we can't really ignore it, right? It's like if we try to, it just sort of keeps getting stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. Yeah. And I realized once I had that experience, because I thought, well, I'll take my abilities and I'll be a hospice nurse because I can see the spirits. I can help them cross over. I can help the people that are here. But it's almost as if once I went to the beach and I totally stepped into it, because I mean, millions of people have Reiki 1 and nothing changes for them, right? Nothing changes. But just being at that beach and stepping into that, it was just, I remember being at my clinical and giving this man like 20 pills for his heart condition. And I was just like, why aren't you talking to your daughter? And he was like, well, because she's not talking to me. And it shifted in that moment. It was just, there was no more like gently helping people or, sitting at the side of the playground. It just really became that forefront. It takes effort for me to just go to the grocery store and not pick up on everybody's energy. I've learned how to do it, but it was definitely a journey. So it was something I was supposed to step into.
Yeah. And you're obviously an empath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I am too. If we're not cognizant, it can be really easy to absorb other people's energy.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to what you're saying about Reiki as well. I've had, Reiki 1 and 2, and I experienced a significant shift too.
Awesome. Yeah.
Leave that attunement.
I didn't notice anything with Reiki 2, and I didn't really notice much of a shift with the Reiki Master attunement. It was just that first one, just aligning that energy. And then it was like I was off to the races. I was ready to go.
Yeah. Exciting. And what a blessing too.
Yeah. Again, at the time, I didn't think it was. I mean, I remember sitting in my final, I felt like I was floating. And I remember I kept hearing, it's all going to be okay. And I walked out with my friend and she was like, we aced that. We knew everything because we would study together. And I was like, I don't remember a question. And then I was like, what did I do? What happened? And now I'm like, I'm so grateful. But in that moment, it was just like, as I was shifting onto the path I was supposed to be on, it didn't seem like a blessing at the time,
There are a lot of people out there who are, sensitive to others' energies. They may or may not be hugely aware of it, but for those that are, what advice would you have for them in terms of, protecting their own energy?
So I always tell people that we all have the ability to sense everybody else's energy. We all are connected. We're all energetic beings. And just because somebody's giving off energy doesn't mean we have to take it on or that we have to read it. Because when we are doing that, that takes energy from us. And if we try to take on somebody else's negativity or frustration, or if they're in a bad place and we try to take that on, and that person's not ready to let that go, in that moment, we double the energy, especially if you don't know how to clear it, right? So if you're just out there not really aware of your gifts and abilities, and you're like, oh, they're in a bad place, I want to make you feel better, you energetically take that on, you're not even realizing that you do it, know that you're doubling the energy and that you didn't help them, because they're going to walk away from you and be like, oh, they're gone. Where's my stuff? I want it back. And they put it right back on. So that always helps you to make that separation and realize that you're not helping them by taking it on if they don't want to let something go. And then if you're in a situation where, you can feel that somebody's in a bad place or in a good place or whatever, you don't have to automatically let that into your energy field just because you're there. You get to decide what you allow into your space.
Absolutely. That's great advice. Thank you so much for sharing that. There are also, lots of people out there who might be at a crossroads in their life, feeling called to do more in terms of sharing their gifts, right? To make a bigger impact out there. What advice would you have for those people in terms of an action that they could take today to move forward?
So I always like to tell people that you're given your dreams and your visions and your guidance for a reason. It's your special roadmap that nobody else has. And it's your job and your job alone to follow that. Because if you're not following it, nobody's following it. So if you're feeling a pull to do something and you don't listen to that, there's going to be situations and experiences in your life that happen to kind of force you onto that path. So the easiest path of resistance is to follow that intuition and follow that guidance that you're being given, because we're all being given that knowledge of what you have to do. So follow that because it's for you. And if you're not doing it, it's a harder path. So take that easier path and start following that guidance that you're being given.
I found that as well. If we're meant to do something and we suppress it or ignore it or don't answer it, at some point we end up back on that path. So you're so right about what you said. It's just so much easier to surrender.
It's the easiest path. The hardest path is fighting it. So if you have an insight or an intuition, I need to do this, I need to reach out to somebody. I had a client this morning from Dublin, Ireland, and she was like, I was thinking about my one friend and I wanted to drop her something in the mail and I knew I needed to do it and I didn't do it. And then she passed over, or she crossed over. And so she's like, I feel so bad because I didn't get to send her the letter, right? But at some level, she was guided. You know, she appeared to her, you know, I want to communicate with her. She didn't follow up on that. And then she had that regret. Now, it doesn't matter because energetically that spirit's in a good place. She knows she didn't mean any malice. She was just giving her that signal, right? Hey, I'm going to be crossing over. Sometimes spirits do that. They give you a little warning when you think about them. And, you know, but she felt that she was given that insight and she didn't follow it. So it's very important to pay attention to those insights. You're giving them for a reason.
Absolutely. There is such a thing as a missed opportunity. It's so important to trust that guidance that we receive. I find that, you know, so many people question their thoughts, right? Question their thoughts, question their decisions. And that's not our intuition. The questioning, that's our mind.
That's our mind. And sometimes our ego.
Yes.
Right? The intuition is clean and it's clear and it's direct. You know, don't cross that street. Do this. You know what I mean? Whereas the mind is like analyzing it. Is this the right thing to do? And then you start to stress about it. You start to worry about it. You've got this whole pattern in your head going based on your beliefs and your experiences and what your parents told you and your grandparents and your teachers and everybody else. Whereas your intuition is always a clear, light guidance. There's no bad energy to it.
Absolutely. It's not fear-based, but it will guide us often to do something that is unknown to us, right? And that's where our mind can start to play tricks on us.
And that's where you have to start to recognize the difference between what you're being guided to do and what your mind is like making up all its excuses and fears and doubts and worries and stuff. So it's almost like you're self-sabotaging what you're supposed to be doing. But as we talked about earlier, you'll be guided on that path one way or another. So the easiest path of resistance is to follow that intuition and take that leap of faith and know that you're a being of light and love and you are supported. I am supported. And so when those fears start to come up, you need to let them go. You need to recognize them. Otherwise, they just keep playing in your head and say, you know what? I see that fear. I see that belief. It's not serving me. If I'm being given this path, this is where I'm supposed to be going. I'm going to take that path because I know I am supported. I am safe. I am whole. Whether I am statements are going to help support you on that path, but it's overcoming it in that moment. And the more you start to practice that and do it, the less those thoughts and beliefs and ideas are going to creep up. If I have an insight come in now, I just do it. Because I'm at that point in my journey and I don't let my fears come in and tell me I can't do stuff. People will say to me all the time, like, you know, how do you talk about what you do? How do you find people that connect with it? But because I'm at that energetic vibration that I'm just radiating that off, I don't worry anymore. Like when I first started off in 2002, people didn't know what a coach was. People didn't quite understand all the energy work that I did. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now. But I just kept holding on to my truth and saying, this is the path that was given to me. I had some crazy things happen to me to help me get on this path. I am supported. And look at where I am today. So the more that you practice recognizing those thoughts and not letting them control you and saying, you know what, I see this thought, I'm going to let it go.
Absolutely. And an important thing to take into account as well is that, you know, you clearly were, but someone else who's feeling called to change, but maybe scared to take action, you know, you might be meant to birth something new into the world, you know? And that's why it's so important to trust.
Mm-hmm. And to know that you're supported. We live in an abundant universe. Abundant. That this fear and negativity and all this stuff, it's an illusion. It's not real. When you cross over, you don't take this stuff with you. This is linked to this human form. And we've been taught to allow all this energy to come in, right? Through different mediums and ways in society. And so it's really important to know that we live in an abundant universe, that if you're being given this dream, this thought, this idea, that you will be supported in carrying it out.
I believe that too, wholeheartedly, that, you know, God or higher power, whatever that is for everyone who's listening, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We don't have a dream on our heart that isn't meant to be achieved. There is a reason why that's there.
Because we all have our maps. And you will be given the step. And you're not going to see the whole staircase. You're going to see a step at a time. And you will be given what you need to be given to accomplish that as you're going on that path. And so you don't need to worry about questioning it, or is it okay? Will I be safe? Or any of those things. Because if you have this higher vision and it's being given to you, all you have to do is take the first step. And then the next step is going to present itself, and so on and so forth. And you'll continue down that path. Imagine where I would be if I would have continued to fight my path.
I don't know where you would be. I can't think of a different place where you would be.
Exactly.
Right now.
Exactly. So if we follow that insight, and I didn't know what that looked like. I'm the first entrepreneur in my family. My family does not, still, some of them do not understand what I do. I had a family member just the other day realize that I had books. You know what I mean? They're not necessarily connected to what I do, but that didn't stop me from doing what I'm here to do. And the clients that I've worked with have had life-changing shifts. I've helped people create such amazing shifts in their lives that they wouldn't have had, you know, if I wasn't doing this work. So it's really important to pay attention to your path. And your fears are an illusion. Think about fears as like if you're in a dark room, right? Kids are afraid of the dark. Why are they afraid of the dark? Because they see that negativity in the dark, but you turn on the light and all that darkness disappears. Well, the same is true for you as an adult. That negativity is just a fear, but if you shine the light on it, it's going to go away.
Exactly. So true. And, you know, what you said about showing up so that we can make a difference in others' lives, you know, I believe that it's our own gifts, our own talents, and our own life experience, right? That then is, you know, our own life experience is crystallized into wisdom, and then we can actually use that wisdom, right, to support other people on their journey. But if we can't get out of our own way to show up, if we can't surrender to how we're meant to show up, then those we're meant to serve can't see us.
Exactly. So that's why you got to just take that first step, whatever it may be.
Yes,
because you're guided.
Step and trust.
And I am supported is a powerful I am statement for you when you're in that space, because you are supported. That goes back to we live in an abundant universe. So I am supported. I've been given this. And the thing is, too, that sometimes once you take that first step, that vision, that path will shift and change based upon who you're supposed to be helping and who you're supposed to be working with and all those things. But nothing happens if you don't take that first step. Then it just becomes a regret.
Absolutely. And we don't want regrets.
We do not want regrets. That's a waste of time and energy.
Yes, we want to be happy. And the saying, you know, it sounds cliche, but the saying, follow your bliss, is so true, right? It's like we're meant to feel joy and to feel bliss and to feel, you know, content in how we're living and the work that we're doing.
Absolutely. And that's really, I feel like, where my messaging has gone with helping people, because so many people are doing things that they don't love anymore. Everybody gets so focused on work and, you know, I have to have more, I have to do more, I have to be more. They're not enjoying the amazing life that they've created. And your life is pretty darn amazing. Like if you stop and you look at what you've created based upon what you've wanted to do, you're doing it. We're just not stopping and acknowledging it and celebrating that we've done those things.
It's so true. Especially with, technology can be a huge blessing, right? But also, it can also be a huge kind of distraction in today's, environment in terms of multitasking, and everything is kind of like go, go, go. It's so important to be intentional every day about creating that space, like you said, to celebrate the gift of life that we've been given, and to just have that space to just be.
Absolutely, because when we are grateful for something, we bring more of that experience to us. So it's a form of attraction as well. So not only does it help you appreciate where you've come and give you like a little celebration, it helps you bring more of that into your life. So it's a double win.
Absolutely. Lisa, how can someone find you if they want to connect with you, learn more about you?
So my website is www.lisagornall.com, and Gornall is Gornall. And from there, you can find my Facebook, my LinkedIn, my YouTube. I have hundreds of videos on my YouTube channel. So that's where you would go.
Awesome. Lots of Lisa to consume.
I'm everywhere. No.
You're everywhere. That's a good thing. Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I just love our conversation. I could talk to you for days.
It could be the forever podcast.
It could be. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. I loved being here.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Awake and on Purpose podcast. Please visit us and subscribe to the podcast at awakeandonpurpose.com so you never miss an episode. To learn more about how you can connect with your higher purpose and take that leap of faith to make your impact in the world, visit us at jenniferspor.com. And while you're there, be sure to join our email list for exclusive offers and a weekly dose of inspiration.